Hi, welcome back to Transform to One's channel. We are a faith-based organization whose vision is to foster transformational change through Christ-centered initiatives. One way in which we do this is by hosting our annual Navigating Trauma workshop series in person here in Jamaica. As we prepare for our upcoming workshop, which is themed Managing Grief, it will take place on November 1st. We've opened up a space on YouTube for persons who've experienced losses to share their journeys with us. We've chosen to do this to bring awareness to the realness of grief as real people experience it, and also to assist our listeners who've also experienced loss, just to help them to realize that they aren't alone and to share just how different our journeys can be. And that's okay, and in fact, it's pretty normal. While doing this, we also realized that it helped our guests to positively process their losses too. For this, we are grateful. Today's question is, what is next for you in the grieving process, and how are you going about getting there? Here are the responses of our guests.
Because death is so final, and I've learned the hard way that death is really final, and life is really just for living. Now, these three people, though I love them, they are gone, they're not living, I'm still living. So I channel my energy and say, listen, you have to continue to live because you didn't die with them. I've never traveled before, since recently. One of the reasons is I did everything with my husband, and that is why it is so hard for me. Right now, if I'm to go to the mechanic, I have to call somebody because he didn't allow me to do anything. So he was really like my hands, my feet, my everything. So because we did everything together and he had no interest in traveling, all my life I didn't travel. So I said, I just get up and I say, you know what, me, I will start live and stop exist. So I went to Panama the other day and I'm like, Jesus, there's really life outside of Jamaica. It's like I'm connecting with the world again and doing things. I'm in this group and in there, nobody not talking to me in the group, them said that they're going to some river trip in Ochi and me text up the coordinator for the group and say, oh, you feel have but you wanna invite me? So I've started living, I've started doing things, because I'm alive. I miss them, but I didn't die with them, and I have to live. They would have done their race, it's ended there, my race is still continuing. And that is really what I'm using to propel me.
So what's next in the grieving process is being able to speak about my dad without tearing up. Like, that's my one big goal. I do speak about him with my mom, but I want to get to a point where I'm not anxious at the thought of talking about my dad. So that's really what's next. And how I plan to get there. I guess I'm gonna have to go through more therapy sessions. Therapy really wasn't that bad. I was a little bit scared going in, but it really turned out to be very, very helpful. I haven't done a lot of sessions, but the sessions that I have done were helpful. So that's what's next, for me to be able to freely talk about my dad without being anxious at the thought of talking about him and without, feeling sad necessarily.
I said, this is probably the first time I'm processing grief, so I honestly don't know what's next. I don't know if I'm going to consciously make a decision as to what I'll do next, but what I'll always do is treasure the memories, try to be as good a father as he was, and if it's even possible, better. I don't know how that's going to be, but yeah. So I can just keep looking at him as a blueprint for the things that worked and recognize the things that didn't work, which I have to just be honest and like, yeah, pops, you get that wrong still. Yeah, and him, if he was here, he would understand because we're able to speak frankly. I think, having a thick skin as well, is one of the things that I learned from him. Understanding that persons can be critical, but we hear what they have to say and see where they may have a point and consider how we can adjust from that. Yeah.
what's next in the process for me? So I'm currently in the process of writing my second book. It's called Drop the Ball, The Harsh Truth About Letting Go. And so the first book would have shared about the journey of loss, going through that and what it took to come out of it. And so now that I'm out of it, the second book is about all the things that I had to let go of and still continue to let go of to maintain purpose. That includes beliefs, perspectives, circles, friendships, relationships, all of the things that you have to let go of, even in your own ways, to maintain purpose. And so it's pressing more into another layer of that story. Call it like almost like a volume 2. Pressing more into that story and allowing God to show me the steps as I go along. So He's shown me the blueprint, but not all of the steps. So pressing into that, and when He reveals the next step, then I gladly follow through.
Okay, so what's next for me in the process of grieving, and how will I go about getting there? It's challenging because grief pile on top of grief, and you have other things that will occur. The way I look at it is this: not because your father dead, don't mean your house now burn down or your car now crash. I mean, life just goes on. I give myself time and grace. Where do I go from here? I don't know. It's going to be an evolution. At times, it's going to be a devolution. It does this. But I'm going to continue to speak out, meaning express myself. I'm going to continue to seek help. I'm going to continue to rely on my support system or systems. And prayer, sounding cliche, is important.
What's next for me in the grieving process? I don't know. I don't know, because I don't know what the destination is. I really am not sure where it is, so I can't say how I'm going to get there. What I've been committing to is showing up as more of myself daily, listening to me. And one of the things that I've also been leaning into is not allowing outside voices to have a strong influence on what I do or who I am or how I go about things, because as a recovering people pleaser is something that has been so dominant just in my life without even me realizing. It's about what am I expected to do, how am I expected to show up. And so even if it's not something that's aligned with what I want for myself or how I see myself, I'm always trying to make sure that everybody sees me, as perfect, as the good girl. And I think that as I've grown through all of these experiences, I've come to the place now where I realize that if it is that I'm going to enjoy true freedom, I have to let go of all of those things and really lean into who I really am, what I really want, and just go for it. So where do I go next? Wherever the road leads.